everyone. Welcome to Career Conversations by Gambling Industry Jobs. My name is Crystal, and today we're going to be interviewing Catie Di Stefano, our very first guest speaker. And she started out in Swedish customer support. She's currently a marketing director at Smartico.ai, and Catie has contributed loads to the industry. Here's three of her achievements. So she's helped Hard Rock go live online with sports betting 2018 in New Jersey. She's also licensed the affiliate onlinegamblers.com in 16 US states. And she's also received Top Gaming Industry Voice by LinkedIn. Well done, Catie.
Thank you.
So, Catie, where are you now? Can you start by telling us a bit about your current role and the company you work for?
Of course. Well, first of all, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me, Crystal. It's really, really fun being part of the inaugural episode. For me, I'm right now starting a new job as marketing director, as you mentioned. That's Smartico.ai. I've been in the role 3 weeks, so it's all very, very new. But I was essentially hired because they wanted help with PR and brand awareness. They wanted someone who knows the industry, that knows the pain points of the industry, what's very difficult when it comes to gamification, CRM, affiliation. And that's, by the way, what Smartico does. So they have a CRM platform where you can not only engage with the customer in terms of communication by SMS, email, push notifications, anything you can think of. But they also have a gamification feature where you can arrange, for example, players to participate in a jackpot or having points that they collect and get badges. And, they can spend it on bonuses or even having their own mini games. And in addition to that, Smartico also has their own affiliate platform where they can help operators track their affiliates and set up very flexible deals, do it in real time in a mobile-friendly app. That is also available in any language that you need it. So it's very, very fun to be part of that and seeing how much the industry has changed in the last couple of years, because what we're going to talk about later is how I used to work with CRM and gamification back in the day when it was a lot more manual.
Complicated.
Yeah, exactly. And now it's so fun to be part of and helping the industry become more automatic, basically.
So, okay, let's move on to the next question. I'd like to understand how did you get into the iGaming industry? How did it all start for you?
So for me, I think it's a very common story, basically. It's a lot of, so I was 19 years old. I'm not gonna go into story too difficult, but basically I had one of my first job in Sweden working as a cashier. And then when I was working as a cashier, I was robbed. But being a teenager, I put the blame on myself and said, oh, I was so stupid, like letting them do that. I should have like contacted someone quicker. So I got so embarrassed that I was like, I can never work in Sweden again. I have to leave the country. So I Googled where can Swedish people get jobs abroad. Malta came up and I booked a ticket for like 2 days later and I just went spontaneously. So I think it was a little bit like, initially started out like trauma healing and then I came to
wow.
Malta.
I mean, that's such an amazing story.
Yeah,
Thank you
but
for sharing. Wow.
it was not very, very like well thought through because I arrived in Malta and realized I've never been there. I don't know anyone there. I don't know anything about gambling. It was like all brand new, and I was by myself as a teenager. But what I did was I realized like all the Swedish people hang out together and that works in the gambling industry. So I figured out as well that all of them that work in customer support are party animals, more or less. So I rented a room in like an apartment, and then I only slept in that like room during the day, and then the night I was in Patcheville in Malta, the party street, just trying to figure out like where do all the gambling people go, what do they drink, what do they talk about. And I slowly like started chatting up people. They started to recognize me because I went to the same place, native actually, every single night in 2011. I think it's also Bacco opposite now. Anyway, so I didn't have a lot of money, but what I started doing was I had €10 every night that I bought like a tray of shots. And then I just started like going to people like, does anyone want to share this tray of shots with me? And then I started talking to them. And that way I got a little bit of references, people that, oh, I know Catie, like I recognize her. So at the same time, I was obviously applying for jobs. I was handing out my CV. It took 2 months, but then finally on the same day, I got 3 job offers, which was crazy
Wow.
because I was like literally gonna give up after 2 months. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And I picked Betsson because I realized Betsson had the biggest community. Whenever I went out, people were always trying to work at Betsson or, starting to work at Betsson or had worked at Betsson. So I had the very good opportunity to pick which company fitted me the best. And I'm so happy I did pick Betsson because Betsson was a great company to start out and work with. I got to
Yeah.
learn a lot of stuff. They had great education with poker, casino, bingo, like they had everything, lotto, sports betting. So it was really good for me to get a foundation of what gambling actually is. And then from there, I started out again as customer support in the Swedish department. And shortly after, I also started working on a couple of poker events where I would, for example, just hang out with the VIP players, make sure they had a good time, whether it was on a boat or, you know, at a party or a VIP event. So that's also a good way that I got to hear from the players what they actually like, other than just from the computer. And yeah, then I got stuck in the gambling industry.
Were there any key turning points in your career? So you started off in Swedish customer support, and I mean, now you're marketing director. So how did you get to where you are
Yeah.
now?
So that's an interesting story, actually. I think so. My dad, he has always had the same job for like 25 years. Like he's never switched company, a role, like anything. And I think initially that's what I wanted. I wanted to find a company that I could stay with forever. So I started out at Betsson again, and I was there 2.5 years, I think, as customer support. But I just felt like I never got the opportunity to grow there. Like I got higher up. I became like a VIP customer support agent, like stuff like that. But it's such a big company, it's hard to get
Yeah,
seen there. So
exactly. I know. Yeah.
I had a lot of friends from Betsson that went out and started what back in the days was Bettit Group. And just seeing like most of my friends going there and people I looked up to, I was like, okay, it's now or never. I can be part of a startup.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that I think that was my first small turning point, I would say. And I joined Bettit Group. I quickly became VIP manager and then group VIP manager. And it was a lot of fun. I think that's the role I've had the longest time, 4 years. I worked with VIP. We were also acquired by Gaming Innovation Group very quickly after we started. So I feel like I was part of the GIG journey in the beginning. And again, I stayed with GIG for 6 years. And I thought like that's the place I'm always going to be. This is where I grow. And I loved my job at GIG, especially the last year. I was working as a CRM consultant. So that's a very common way as well. I didn't know like 11, 12, 13 years ago, I want to do marketing. I just knew I wanted to stay in gambling for the people and the technology. But then slowly, I guess that's the way it just developed. Went from customer support to CRM or VIP, and then basically more marketing CRM from there. And the last year with GIG, I started working with Hard Rock as one of my clients in Atlantic City. And I just found that to be so, so fun because it was just after PASVA was released. And for those who don't know, it's when basically they legalized online sports betting again. And it was like allowed for all the states to put their own regulations. And New Jersey was one of the first ones. And Hard Rock was going to go live there. So I was really, really part of the beginning of online sports betting in the USA, which I found so much fun. However, after almost 6 years at GAG and 1 year with Hard Rock working only exclusively as my client, I was like many others made redundant.
Yeah,
And it's very common. So, but at the
exactly.
time, it was so heartbreaking to me. I felt like I would say that's the biggest change that changed the trajectory of my career. When I lost my job there, I'm gonna be raw here. I wanted to die. Like it was really bad. I felt like I've had this job longer than I've known my husband, longer than I've had my kids. It's my whole
Yeah.
life. I've built this company and now I'm not part of it anymore. So that was so heartbreaking for me. And I never ever considered being a consultant at that point, because what happened basically was an old boss heard that I got made redundant, and he said, I need someone to be a consultant. Do you want to come? You can start tomorrow. And I was like, okay, I just need something, you know? So that's what changed that whole trajectory as well, going more into marketing, because that's what they needed.
Okay.
And then I did that for a little bit, but like after a couple of months, Hard Rock heard that I was also available. They contacted me and said, hey, we heard you're a consultant. Do you want to work with us? And I was like, yes, let me come back. So I actually was with Hard Rock another almost 3 years, where they helped me become licensed in the US as a consultant. You know, it started my whole focus on the US. I got more involved in the marketing area. So that for me was the biggest key turning point.